Giants locked into the 5th spot in the NFC. The Patriots, you know they're number 1 in the AFC. So, who actually plays? Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horwitz, NFL.com's
Hey, Jason.
Pat Kerwin with you here in Week 17 of the NFL Previews presented by Comcast. And Pat, you used to be in a front office. You've seen this time after time again. Coaches are saying they're going to play guys like it's a regular season game, like it really matters. Would you do the same?
No, I would not do the same. I mean, I understand why the Patriots are going to play everybody. They got all these records that they want to have tumble, and they're going to get them to tumble. And they have had that mindset all year. You're not going to walk into the Patriot locker room and say, hey, I'm sitting you guys down. On the other hand, the Giants need to get healthy, and they should sit a lot more players.
You've got Plaxico Burress, who needs to stay healthy.
Stay on the bench.
You need Brandon Jacobs, who needs to stay healthy for them to win in Tampa Bay the following week. Jabril Wilson has not been healthy all year. Antonio Pierce. But there is one thing here, and I know this is not talked about a lot among the players publicly, but there's incentives there. I mean, for the guys to be on the field contractually.
Well, and certainly I was involved with that. A lot of guys have contracts with back-end incentives, whether it's for 10 interceptions or 5 sacks or whatever, and they're really close to grabbing them, and they'd like to get them. They'd like to be on the field to do it. I apologize to those guys. You had 15 games to get it done. Right now, we need to keep you healthy for the playoffs. And remember, the Giants are going to play next week in the playoffs, so they need guys ready to go then.
All right, as for the Patriots, obviously they're going for 16-0, become the first team ever, and it's a game that you can see on CBS now, of course, NBC as well, and the NFL Network, first simulcast since Super Bowl I. But there's other records that could fall. Tom Brady, who this week has publicly said that he wants to go 16-0. They haven't talked about it publicly very often, but he could beat Peyton Manning, 2 touchdown passes. That's all he needs. You've got Randy Moss. He only needs 2 touchdown receptions to break Jerry Rice's all-time record. Do you think both of those will fall?
I think that's going to fall. The touchdown for Brady will fall. Moss's will fall. The points scored will fall. This is a team that averages 39 points a game on the road. All these records are going to tumble. And they might be under control by halftime, where you can see a change of tune by Belichick and the guys in the second half. But they're going to come out smoking. They like to play fast. They like to score early. I expect them to be very aggressive in the play calling early.
Offensively here, because Tom Brady is going for the records, and I know he hasn't said anything about individual records, and Randy Moss, the record's great, but we want to win a Super Bowl. They've said all the right things about their own individual records. But don't you just feel they're going to come out and they're just going to be gunning Moss, Brady, Moss.
They have all kinds of ways to score points. We saw Lawrence Maroney's emergence in the last 2 weeks. The guy's got about 280 yards rushing in the last 2 weeks, so they can beat you with the run once again. They have all these weapons of offense. I sat down and watched some game tape. Carl Banks and I were talking about it. When you really study what they have going, when they put Welker and Moss on one side, Watson and Stallworth on the other, it's almost impossible to stop all that stuff. And as people start to divide their safeties and get on top of those 2 groups of 2, that's when the running game is gashing people up inside. They can score anywhere they want. They're going to score 40 points.
All right, Giants have their own problems here, aside from the fact of who's going to play. They play next week, as you talked about, and they will play the Buccaneers in the wild card of the NFC. What has to be fixed for them heading to the playoffs?
Well, first off, they love going on the road. You think about it. This is a much better road team than they are at home. They feel comfortable on the road. We know what it's all about Eli. Eli's had some ups and downs. He's in the playoffs for the 3rd time in a row, so I kind of wave Eli's flag. People in New York are pretty rough on this guy. The running game is pretty good right now. It's real good, as a matter of fact, and you're going against Tampa Bay that has a concept to stop the run first, and they do it with 7 in the box. That's what they say they do. They love dropping their safety down and to stop the run. I think you'll see a lot more of that until the Giants show you they can beat you with the passing game.
And that's for next week's preview. But to your road point, they won 7 in a row on the road after losing game number 1 in Dallas. All right, Pat, let's bring in the AccuScore prediction here.
Enough.
It's the 10,000 times. It's Week 17. And 88% of the time on the computer, the Patriots came out victorious. And it's not a surprise by a big margin. This has been the case all season. How big? Well, let me first start this way. Do you think the Patriots get to 16-0?
Jason, I absolutely do think they're going to get to 16-0, and I think their problems are going to come after that. You're going to be asking me a week from now, was it all worth it if they don't win the Super Bowl? They climbed the first big mountain, there's a bigger one behind it.
The next question after that is, if they don't win the Super Bowl, how far down do they fall as far as best teams ever to play in the NFL? Because 16-0, they'll be number 1, the only team to ever go 16-0 in the regular season, but if they don't win the Super Bowl, that's a very, very intriguing question to talk about in the next couple of weeks.
19-0, New England Patriots.
That is the number they have to get to. 16-0 means nothing in the grand scheme of things as far as what their goal is. All right, folks, for more on this game or any other, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com, and don't forget, it is now on CBS as well as the NFL Network. For NFL.com's Pat Kerwin, I'm Jason Horwitz. Take care.